Some days I have nothing better to do than to turn on my phone and start filming. Then, after checking the footage, I realize, wow, I can edit a video and make a ton of money on YouTube. Since life gives you limited opportunities to thrive, I went on to do exactly that. And what better way to start than by touring San Juan? In today's video, I explored two districts that are tourist-heavy and include plenty of great scenery. They are Condado and Old San Juan. Let's start with Condado, also known as the super tiny version of Miami. When people living in the north freeze their butts off during winter, they stop by Condado's beach to partially expose their flesh under the blistering sun. I tried my best not to look like a creep while filming.
You sure about that?
It was such a gorgeous day, I figured I could capture great footage, like this beautiful waving flag plucked in the sand. But of course there's always somebody who has to ruin it.
Bruh.
I was wearing tennis shoes, so it wouldn't have been smart to walk long distances on the sand. But as I kept filming different angles, the bro in the hat just kept showing up. Is he okay? It was getting hot, and I didn't put sunscreen on me.
Oh my god.
So I decided to take one last shot and check if the bro in the hat was okay. And oh my god, he should not be there. Nah, he's alright. One thing you'll notice about Condado is that there is plenty of construction going on. High-end condos are being built because Puerto Rico has become a haven for rich people who want to legally evade federal and state taxes.
Really?
And since Condado offers expensive dining, exclusive housing, and walking distance to the beach, this is a little paradise for the ultra-entitled. If you would like to sign up for those benefits, you are free to move here and enjoy some of Condado's opulent resorts. Like the Hotel La Concha. It is so nice and luxurious, you can smell the champagne even as you take a leak in the bathroom. Believe me, I know. Sometimes while I walk around Condado, I take advantage of their facilities and take a $200 piss for free.
Oh, that's nasty.
Another historic hotel is the Vanderbilt, opened in 1919, long before King Kong arrived in New York. Walking these elegant corridors, I feel like I'm in the Overlook Hotel from The Shining, and Jack Nicholson will pop out of nowhere with an axe. The first time I came here, I thought, gee, I wonder what people used to talk about back in the 1920s in this hotel. I'm sure some guy said, hey, what do you think about that German named Hitler? And another guy responded, I think he's a fine young fellow.
Are you kidding me?
Who knows? I mean, people were a lot more racist back then. Between the La Concha and Vanderbilt hotels, there's a park where I found this family of chicks. Aw, aren't they cute? And as I got closer to the beach boardwalk, I feared for my life due to the high tides.
Really, nigga?
I wish I could play more ambient sounds of waves hitting the shore, but there was this wannabe influencer behind me, with his stereo cranked up, performing dance moves in long pants and a jacket. If I have to summarize what Condado is, I'd say it's the most Americanized area in all of Puerto Rico. Sometimes I can't tell who the hell is visiting or actually living here. Condado isn't a place I typically visit, but it has its perks, like paddleboarding, plenty of space to walk, and casinos to kiss your savings goodbye. Would I move here when I become rich from doing YouTube videos? No. Now we move on to a place where most people are fully clothed. This is the 500-year-old city of Old San Juan. I could spend days shooting videos showing all the great restaurants, historic sites, and places of interest, but I'm only going to focus on a few locations. A special place I'd like to take you is the second oldest church in the New World, the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist. For a little bit of history, this cathedral underwent several construction phases during the early 1500s. Originally, it was made out of wood until a hurricane destroyed it and was rebuilt in its current Renaissance style. If you're a proud Catholic, you need to come visit, because the San Juan Diocese is the oldest in the entire Americas, along with the Santo Domingo Diocese in the Dominican Republic, both established in 1511 by Pope Julius II, Borgia's old nemesis. Personally, I love coming here, not to pray or confess, but the vibes in this place are very good. In here, we have the tomb of our one and only Puerto Rican cardinal, Luis Aponte Martinez, and also the tomb of Spanish conquistador Juan Ponce de León. But the best one among the dead in this cathedral is the relic of Saint Pius. You can see his 2,000-year-old teeth through the mouth. So cool. According to the info on display, Saint Pius was one of the first martyrs from the 1st century. He was persecuted and killed by the Romans just for being a Christian. Wait, is that Jackie Chan? Dude looks just like him! Anyway, whether you love or hate the Catholic Church, nobody cares. This cathedral is one of the earliest footprints of Western civilization across the Americas. That being said, it feels good to know that God chose us to stamp the first seal of His divine blessing across this side of the world. The other site I'd like to show you is the most visited in Old San Juan. A castle built by the hands and sweat of slaves. An epic colossus of architectural genius, a marvel of the colonial era, which for some stupid reason Game of Thrones never used it to film an episode. This is the Spanish fortress of San Felipe del Morro. There's a lot to cover about this fortress, so I'll be giving you a few historic facts while at the same time provide a comprehensive tour of the site.
Good luck.
The main floor of El Morro is essentially an array of chambers that exhibit a lot of well-preserved antiques, like this cannon mounted on a wagon. The National Park Service is in charge of managing and preserving everything in this location. I'd say they do a pretty good job. They even conserve old ammunition in this big room. You will learn a lot by all you can witness. For example, just by looking at how Spaniards slept on these boards, I seriously doubt they suffered from back pain. There are plenty of displays that go over the history of El Morro, and they perfectly explain why this fortress was so important as a defense post. However, as we move down to the lower levels, I can give you some background info. Construction of this fortification started in 1539 to protect the San Juan Bay from outsiders, like pirates or navy vessels that had nothing better to do with their lives than to start a fight. A number of invasions were attempted on Puerto Rico, twice by the British Empire, once by the French, once by the Dutch, and the last one by the United States in 1898. El Morro stood mightily strong during most of those attacks. If you're wondering, wait, why was Puerto Rico, a small island, invaded so many times? Well, if you look at a map, Puerto Rico stands in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, serving as a gateway to the Caribbean Sea and the Gulf of Mexico. Wait, isn't it the Gulf of America now? Yeah! Whatever. What I'm trying to say is that Puerto Rico stands in a crucial position geopolitically for any country that wants to have a stronghold of the Atlantic Ocean. And it was on these battlements where men fought the harshest conflicts to defend their country. At least they didn't have to go far if they needed to use the restroom.
What?
You see that gutter? That's where soldiers relieved themselves during combat. When they finished, they would run back to the crenels to continue fighting. Those who wanted a bit more privacy, there was a latrine available at the end of the walkway. I don't see a toilet paper rack anywhere, so I'm guessing that resource wasn't available yet. But no matter how jarring the life of a Spanish soldier must have been, I'm sure none of them complained about the killer view they had. In this great weather, where it never snows, who wouldn't want to sink enemy ships for a living? At the same time, being of service to the crown was nothing glamorous. Often, soldiers faced disease, theft, boredom, indifference from their superiors, and intimacy frustration as, of course, the Spaniards embraced the ideals of Catholic ultra-celibacy. I'm sure you would agree that slavery should have never happened, but you gotta admit, slaves did a heck of a good job putting this structure together.
You're canceled.
Should we destroy everything because of it? Well, some people are already doing it. Specifically, the scumbags who graffiti and vandalize these precious walls.
Damn!
In all honesty, there is no video that can bestow the unique experience of being in the oldest fortress in all of the Americas. You will have to come over and see it yourself. The sights, the sounds, the temperature, the history, the smells, literally everything that the San Felipe del Morro has to offer, including the city of San Juan itself. This was God, Slaves, and Half-Naked Tourists by yours truly, Don Luis Zavala. Make sure to subscribe to stay in touch. As always, thank you for your time.